Y'all think it's gonna rain or nah? Nah. Hashtag do it for the vlog. We're going for a first ride on the Harley. Technically it's not my first ride, but we could say like first impressions. I put about 200 miles on this bike, maybe a little over 200 miles. I've had it for exactly 1 week now, so it's still very, very new to me. To give y'all some background on the bikes that I've had, starting off, first bike was an F4i, CBR F4i. Second bike was a CBR 600RR. Third bike was a Yamaha R6. Fourth bike was a CBR 1000RR. Fifth bike was a Yamaha R1, which I still have, the 2014. And then this is the sixth bike I've ever owned. So this is my first cruiser. So based off of my experience, it's basically just going to be off sport bike riding experience. What caught my attention about the V-ROD originally was that my buddy had one. His name was Jerry back in the day, and he let me ride it, and I freaking fell in love with it. I mean, just listen to that. Oh. So starting off, first thing, this bike is amazing, okay? One, it's freaking comfortable. Two, it still has the power. Like, this is not a slow bike. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. You get the power and you get the comfortability. Like, I could sit on this bike and ride it for a very, very, very long time. If we're looking at the tech on this bike, I mean, this is a pretty basic layout. Like, it's everything you need to know, nothing more. There's not a temperature gauge, which I find odd. I've never ridden a bike without a temperature gauge. But it does give you your gas, which I appreciate. It has your gas, it has speed, and then your tack, and then your miles that you've ridden. And that's really it. It doesn't really even have like a trip A, trip B, or anything like that on the odometer. One other thing that I noticed right out the gate when I started riding this bike is that it takes a lot more input from the actual steering column. The R1, or any sport bike in general, I'm not pushing as much on the steering to turn it. It's more of me, like, slight inputs, and I guess that's just how the clip-ons are on that bike. This one, I have to actually physically turn the handle bars a lot more to actually get it to turn, especially during slower maneuvers, which I guess is the same on a sport bike. But that's one thing that I noticed, that I'm using the handles to turn a lot more than I would on the sport bike, which is more focused on leaning over. And I guess you could say that it's from the rake? I don't know, I'm still new to all the Harley stuff, so like, oh, like, look how quick this thing is. God. Woo! This thing is nuts, baby! I don't think that'll ever get old. Next thing is the mirrors. Like, these mirrors are actually usable. I can actually see out of them. The mirrors on a sport bike, you literally can see your arms, and you kind of have to do this awkward, like, bringing your arms in and like flexing your triceps in order to see behind you. It's really, really annoying, which is why I end up just taking those mirrors off and putting bar end mirrors on, because the bar end mirrors are on the side to where they can see, and they're concave, so I can actually see directly behind me. Our only drawback of the bar end mirrors is that it takes your attention off the road, so you're not looking in front of you. You kind of have to look down and to the side this way. Next thing is that this headlight has to go. This is probably one of the worst headlights I've ever seen. It's absolutely trash. Like, look at this little baby light that's in front. Like, this isn't, I feel like I don't even have a headlight on the front of this bike. Even like the high beams. Let's see how the high beams look. Oh, that's the horn. Like, the high beams, I can't even see what, those are the high beams, and literally I can't see anything on the ground, or it's not even pointing on in the trees in front of me. This headlight's just absolutely trash. It's gotta go. But the sound of this bike, like, look at that. Oh, getting a little wheel spin there. The sound of this bike makes it just insane. Wow, that's embarrassing. The sound is intoxicating on this bike. And the back tire, man. That back tire, the look of that will just never, ever, ever get old, dude. Another thing I love about this bike compared to what I've owned in the past is that it has a belt. And I think from what I've read, I could be wrong, the belt doesn't require nearly as much maintenance as the chain does. So like adjusting and lubing and all that good stuff, which isn't really a pain to do. It's just a tedious task that's like, you got to make sure you're staying on top of. And the throttle isn't nearly as sensitive. It's a lot smoother than the R1 is, but the R1's a lot more sensitive. I get a lot more responsive to the input that I give to it. Also, this thing leans. Like, I was reading that it doesn't have a really good lean angle, but I've leaned it over a lot further than I'm comfortable with, and I haven't scraped peg yet. Uh-oh, we might have to get the green lights out. I'm feeling them. I'm feeling them. Uh-oh. You know what time it is? The lights are on. It's nighttime, baby. Man, that looks so sick. That literally looks so cool. I don't know what it is about the lights that get me, man. That's just, I don't know. It's just cool. It just suits this bike. Like, you can't tell me that does not just look cool. Oh man, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Woo! Anyways, last thing I kind of talked about in that video was the seating position. If you're short, this bike's not for you. You're definitely very lean forward with your feet, and with how the handlebars are set up, your hands are very forward as well. I'm 6 foot. I'm not tall. I wouldn't consider that tall. And I'm comfortable. But I can definitely see if you're shorter, this bike, you'd be very stretched out as far as your legs and your hands. Now, I've seen some people talk about the passenger pegs, the ones back here, being a little bit more comfortable than these front pegs up front. Putting myself in that position on the passenger pegs, I don't know, I feel like I'm on a sport bike again. My knees are up super, super high, but I can see that being uncomfortable after a while. So for me, I think the front pegs are fine how they are. But just to kind of wrap this up, my overall gist of this bike, do I regret purchasing this? Hell no. This bike's awesome. It has a lot of character. For what it is, it's quick, it's comfortable. I think I'm just attracted to bikes that have a lot of character. This bike definitely does have it. With how the rear tire is set up, the rake, how you sit on the bike, the sitting position, the sound, the simplicity of the gauge cluster and the controls, the overall look. I mean, the bike just comes together very, very well to make it a unique bike. And I think that's also what attracted me to my R1. It has a lot of character. The headlights on the R1, how it looks like a face, a very angry face. The exhaust, especially, I love the Toast exhaust, how it looks with the 4 pipes coming out the back. The sound of the crossplane, it just gives the bike a very unique character and a personality that a lot of other bikes, no, see those stop sign. We might have to cut that out. Anyways, it gives the bike a lot of character. It just makes the bike very, very raw. And you just can't beat that raw feeling, in my opinion. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys. My first impressions. I'm checking it out. Fast Lane D. Peace.